Welcome back to Gen Z Coders. Today we will be creating a Tic Tac Toe game. The code is quite short, but it may get a bit complicated. But hopefully by the end of it, you will be able to understand it and scratch better. The first thing you want to do is you kind of want to delete Scratchy because we don't really need him for this game. Next, we're going to go to choose sprite. What I've done is I've saved an image of the Tic Tac Toe board onto my desktop, and I'm just going to be uploading that. But for you guys, I've put the picture in a presentation. The presentation's link is given below, and this just makes it much easier. So all you have to do is save that image from the presentation to your desktop, and then just upload it. Okay, so as you can see, the grid is kind of in an odd position, so I'm just going to make it its position 0, 0. It's also a bit small, so I'm going to make the size about 110. Okay, the next thing we're going to be doing is we will be creating the X and O sprites. We want each square of the grid to be able to turn into either X or O, but if no key is pressed, then we simply want it to remain the same. So essentially, we will be creating a square sprite that has two other costumes, the X and O, right? And so each square will be filling each part of the grid, right? So this is just how we're going to be doing it. Okay, so the code is going to be designed in such a way that when your mouse pointer is on the square and you press either X or O, the square will turn into either X or O, respectively, right? So in this, we're just going to be using it for all of the squares for all of the grids, right? So now let's just choose the two costumes for the X and O. Okay, so I'm going to be using the button 5B. Okay, so you can probably see that the X is not in the right place, but we can actually change that on the main screen because the square is correctly positioned. So let's change that by simply moving the X over here, right? Okay, so next what we're going to do is we're just going to be selecting the O sprite. And for this, I'm going to be selecting the ball. And just do the same thing again over here. Okay, this may seem a bit confusing, but actually when we code, hopefully it will be a bit better. Okay, so now we could simply duplicate the sprite 8 times, so we have a total of 9 squares to fill the grid. But we're not going to do this because the code for each sprite is also the same. And so in order to avoid making the same code over and over again, we'll simply duplicate it after we have completed coding this sprite, right? So now we will actually just begin coding, right? So let's go to code. And let's add this first code block. And then go to looks and put the hide block. So we're going to be doing this because, we don't want the black squares to be visible because, it may look kind of shabby. It's just, for looks. So we're just going to hide it for now. Right? Yeah, and so basically after this, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding the repeat and if statements. So actually what I would just say is like add the following code, and I'll explain to you what we have done after I have completed adding all of the code because it's kind of difficult to explain it in steps. Also, before I explain it to you, I would advise you to just like try to interpret it yourself, so you can just pause the video once I'm done, and just read it and see if you understand what it means. Okay, so this is telling the computer that if my mouse pointer touches the sprite and I have pressed the X key, then we'll do the following command, right? But if it is touching the mouse pointer and I have pressed the O key, then do something else, right? And these are just the clauses, so now we will be adding the outcomes as well. So go to looks and add the switch costume code. Okay, so just now go ahead and just add the following code, right? Yeah, you can go to operators as well, and then just do the following. Okay, so I think I should just explain this now. So the clause in the repeat loop tells the computer that until the sprite has switched its costume to X or O, allow the player to play with this block. So actually, because we can't have a player switching the sprite from X to O in one round itself, right? So yeah, we also need to put the switch costume to costume 1 code block at the top, because if a previous game ended with the sprite on X, then once restarted, the game will not allow you to play with the sprite because it's already X, right? So we just set it to costume 1 at the beginning. If you do not understand the importance of 1 code block, don't worry, but I would also suggest just removing it and then running the game to see what would happen if it wasn't there, right? Okay, so now just run the game. Oh, well, oops, I apologize. Over here, the code block is actually meant to be repeat until instead of repeat. So we're just gonna just change that. So let's just remove that. So the difference is that repeat until actually has a clause, while repeat usually uses a time limit. So here, since we're putting a clause, we use repeat until. Now let's just run it and see how it works. Okay, so now we've run the game. So what do you think the problem is? Just pause the video and think about it for a few seconds. Okay, so in the beginning, we've told the sprite to hide. However, when we press X or O, the sprite changes its costume, but we still haven't told it to show itself. Thus, we just need to add the show code block, right? Yep. Look. So next we're just going to be duplicating this sprite, and then we will just be positioning them properly, because now we have all the code, so we can just duplicate it and now just place them in the correct, basically, squares, or their positions. And so this is essentially just the basic, layout, or the basic code of the game, actually. And in the next video, what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be continuing to work on the same game, and we will ensure that, you know, there's a winner that's declared, because at the moment, well, you see after we finish doing all of this, that we haven't coded the program to actually declare a winner. So that's what we're going to be doing in the next video. But yeah, this is it for now, I suppose. So, yeah, we can just finish this off, I suppose, now. And then after, just run it to see how it's working, if it is working. So, let's just try that out. Yeah, well, thank you for watching. Please watch the next video so that we can improve this game. Thank you. Bye.